Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here for the webinar CPD talk on design and inspiring future with clarity and self-confidence by international speaker from the UK today, Patel, founder of the HR Leadership Academy, author and director of the HR Networking Club. So a quick agenda as we do, quick housekeeping, and there'll be quick introduction from myself. We'll start with some survey as well as we do in our normal webinars. Presentation part 1 for 20 minutes. We'll get some discussion and some survey. Detail part 2, part 3, and then finally we'll conclude. So we expect you to send lots of questions just to really draw from Sue, who's actually written a book as well, which I will share with you shortly. So thank you. In terms of housekeeping, those of you watching on your laptop, you'll see the view option on PC, top of the screen, where you can adjust your the view. Audio screen on PC, which is the left hand side of your screen again. There's the raise hand icon, so if you want to ask a question, put it on a Q&A, but if you want to validate something, you can just raise the little hand, which is on the bottom of the screen. And definitely put your question on the Q&A tab, which is bottom of the screen as well. And finally, if you want to leave the meeting because not because you're bored, but because you're hungry or for personal reason, but you can keep eating while watching as well. So no problem at all. There'll be lots of survey as well, just to really get engaged and get rich answers from you, which is very, very important for Sue, myself, and the team. So thank you very much indeed to Sue for giving back, for her time, and for right now in the UK, really sharing her wisdom, all as part of giving back in a difficult time for all of us. There'll be a certificate attendance to be issued to you. Please, please, please email me after the event, just so you can have a certificate attendance plus some feedback as well, and then we'll get the certificate over to you. So who I am then quickly, I love construction, love learning, love sharing, love people, 18 years in construction industry now, and passionate about giving back. So I want to share a video because before we really kickstart so let me just make sure like the IT works, and then we're going to share that with you now. So just bear with me. I really want to set the scene with you, just to make sure that we're all really ready for this webinar. So just bear with me. And if you can hear me, if you can hear the video, please put your hand, little emoji hand, just to make sure that I can see you as well. Okay, so off we go. And please let me know if you can hear the sound as well.
Every single day in Africa, it doesn't make a difference if you're a lion or a gazelle. When the sun comes up, if you're a gazelle, you wake up with this notion that I must outrun the lion if I'm going to survive. Listen to me. The gazelle is running. The gazelle is afraid. The gazelle understands that if it does not stop running, or if it stops running, it's going to die. When I saw the gazelle stop, it's not being chased. It's not being pushed. So I saw it. I said, ooh, the lion does not need to be pushed. The lion does not need anything external. That thing that it needs is inside. Some of us in this room, if you don't have a reward, if you're not self-motivated, you're not self-regulated, you don't have that thing inside of you that pushes you, that alarm clock still has to get you up. Why? Because your passion is not waking you up. You don't need anything to push you. Your goals are going to push you. Your dreams are going to push you. The opportunity of a lifetime that happens in this particular time frame is going to push you. It's going to drive you. It's going to make you better.
You're going to have to fight and fight and fight till you can't fight anymore. I will do whatever I have to do to get to the other side, to make it over, to press through this. Nothing will hold me back. Nothing will stop me. Your dreams are waiting on you. Your goals are waiting on you. Your future, you are waiting on you. So quit wasting time complaining, moaning, being depressed, stressed. Snap out of it. No, it's not always glory and fame. But if you push through those times, the sun will rise on your life. You will reach the top of that mountain. Each and every one of us has something that this world needs. and only you can flip that switch.
Okay, so thank you very much indeed. Before we move back to our presentation, thank you for watching that. Just to really kick off again. So thank you for this, and then of course we've got a few more that we'll share with you. So I want to share something with you. Again, if you can hear me, please put your hand as well, and if you can see my screen as well. I want to share Sue's book with you. And Sue's got a book. I didn't realize when I actually contacted Sue that Sue is an author, and she wrote a book on putting the humans back into HR. Success as a HR professional begin with you. So Sue Patel shared the 5 areas of HR professionals need to master to be effective in their roles, alongside with practical advice to develop a more balanced approach while making a positive impact on any business and the people who work there. She also goes to say that the advice is read this book and follow your advice to develop a great partnership brand where the business will value and respect you, create an enjoyable work environment for your employee and yourself, become more proactive than reactive to change, deliver measurable results, and prove your worth to your company. I want to share, so what I did was I read Sue's book in the past 4 days, and I really loved it. I want to share a few quotes with you. Even heard the phrase, ever heard the phrase, people leave managers, not companies? There's definitely some truth in it. And I say that both from personal experience and from more than 17 years of experience working in recruitment back then when Sue was writing the book. Sue's statement is absolutely pertinent to organization that employs such managers. Does the manager in question have the right resources available to them to ensure that the management skills are great? Fantastic word. The next one is, I certainly, again, Sue mentioned, I certainly had my work cut out for me. Over the next 20 years, I did all I could to make people feel important, from providing hot food to staff, breaking the Ramadan fast, to developing talent across the business, to training over 300 HR managers with the company on how to be. In all, I impacted the life of over 200,000 employees, and I really felt like I was making a difference. Another great quote for me when Sue in the book says, for me, HR enables the business to connect with its people, and it enables people to connect with the business customers. And then another quote, let's begin with the premise that no one comes to work to do a bad job. You know, everybody comes to work to really do a good job. So I think I agree completely with Sue on that one. And finally, a few quotes before I introduce Sue. That's really, you know, touched me as well. Balance yourself with the intention of building this partnership. Whatever you may have achieved, the meeting is not about how great you are, but about how you are going to serve the person you are speaking to in the meeting. So leave your ego at the door and walk in with your heart and mind open. Empty your thoughts before you go into the meeting and be ready to serve. Fantastic word. Go the extra mile. Get to know the business and the people first. Treat every client, director, and manager as your priority, or else you will become more than just an email address people use when they want to complain. And finally, about communication, this is why we're here today. Communication. Much of this book is about communication, which underlines its importance in business. You can never communicate too much, I agree. Certainly, if you keep talented people in the know about what's going on in your company, you will help to keep them engaged and motivated. So, and then finally, networking. This is why we're here today. We can't really network, but of course, when we do meet for physical CPD, networking strengthens relationship, create fresh ideas, raises your profile, increases the number of resources you have at hand, and build the foundation of a solid and supportive team. So before we start, we just want to know, I want to do a quick survey with you, and before we know where we are as well, how much time do you spend on your personal development in a week? So I'm going to share this survey with you, and I will find out how much time you spend. So just bear with me, and I'm going to share the result now. So how much time do you spend? And I'm just going to get Sue to vote as well. And please keep voting, be honest about it. How much time do you spend on your personal development in a week? be totally honest, whether it's 0, it's 5 hours or 10 hours plus, it's all down to you. So please let us know about how many hours do you spend on that. You've got about 30 seconds left. How much time do you spend on your personal development in a week? Again, I'll get Sue to share that with us as well. Very, very important for Sue to know. And yeah, so how much time do you spend on your personal development in a week? Okay, so already 75% of you have voted, and I'm just going to end voting now. And then Sue, if you can just write that down. 29% says 0, 60% say 5 hours in the personal development, and 30% say 10 hours. So already we can see that we know there's a bit of room for improvement for all of us. Okay, so I'm just going to start with sharing with you. And I want to present the presenter now, Sue. So Sue is the founder of the HR Leadership Academy and the director of the HR Networking Club. She started her career in 1988 with one of the biggest retailers in the UK, Tesco. And then after 27 successful years, she took a redundancy package. She decided to share her HR experience with a wide experience, empowering HR professionals globally to provide a world-class human-centered approach to the profession. She's the author of Putting the Human Back into HR, Success at the HR Professional Begin With You. She has also spoken internationally in Barcelona, Rome, Maldives, at the HR convention with the Maldives Association for HR Professionals. She says, as leaders, we have a duty of care to our employees. If we want to keep great talent, we must develop them to become self-led in their job and in their life. The world needs more leaders. There's nothing complicated about people management. After all, we are just people. Once we understand what's important for one another, we can serve one another better. And finally, on Sue again here, Sue is passionate about personal development and has made it her personal mission to ensure that employees at every level in organization are valued and developed to be a leader, not just their work, but also in their own life, so they'll create amazing future for themselves and their families. And finally, Sue is the mum to a 14-year-old daughter and live in Southend-on-Sea in Essex in the UK. She's also one of the founding members of the World Transformation Organization, which believe in making personal development available to everyone, starting with the slum in Carnegie, Delhi, where the first World Trade Formation Academy was started in 2018. The Academy provides meditation, yoga, and motivational teachers to the children and the family, teaching them to bring their dream to reality. So before we get Sue back on, I think Sue wanted to also find out where you guys are watching, and I'm just going to share this with you before we go live to Sue. So just bear with me as I go live with you all. Just one sec. Okay, let me share this with you. And it'd be good to, this is another experience for those of you who are trying or new to Zoom and menti.com. So let me share this with you now. And if you could please go to menti.com, MENTI.com, so you can multitask on your mobile or your laptop and type in the code 234297. So then at least we'll know, and then you can just type in which country you are, just to really set the scene for Sue as well. So go to menti.com, I'll do the same now, and go to, so already some of you are typing, Mauritius, I know 80% of, because I'm hosting it, and we've got lots of colleagues, Rwanda, UK, Mauritius, India. Please, 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 we're gonna have 2 more menti.com just to really engage with you. So lots of Mauritius, that's why the Mauritius is there in blue. We've got South Africa, Sierra Leone, yeah. Thank you for being here as well. UK, Sri Lanka. So it's a bit of everywhere around the world, but mainly the Mauritius is in blue because that's where most of us are watching as well. We've got Nikhil who wanted just to put his name there as well. Fantastic, Nikhil. Nigeria as well, Malaysia. So there's a Uganda as well, calling from Uganda as well. So Singapore. So thank you everybody for being here. Just to really set the tone for Sue as we get back to the presentation. So thank you, and the colleague, lots of colleagues from Mauritius as well. So thank you, and I'm just going to stop share. And Sue, all yours to fire on. So can I ask everybody to put a big your hand for a big round of applause for Sue for joining us live from the UK for the presentation today on self-confidence and clarity in terms of inspiration. Thank you very much indeed, Sue. All yours, and take it over.
Awesome.
Try
Thank you so much, Anil.
No
Thank you so much, Anil. Thank you, everyone, for being here. As I said earlier, I know there's a lot of things you could be doing this evening, and we really appreciate you being with us this evening to really look at, you know, getting some inspiration for your lives, or, you know, just being here as a contribution, making a difference to everyone else that's in this community. And it's so great to see people from so many different countries. Thank you all for being here. I know some of your time zones are very different, and you've really made an effort to be here. So thank you so much for that. So I'm gonna share my screen. Anil,
Yeah.
did we do the questionnaire around what jobs everybody's in?
Yeah, yeah, good point as well. Thank you for that. Stay where you are and don't share yet. Let me just do that now. Yes, that's a very good one. So thank you for reminding me about that. Right, so let me just go and share. So relaunch polling, allow panelists to vote. And yeah, so if you can you see the question now, Sue?
Yep.
Awesome. So if everybody can please let us know, please, could you please tell us what sector, I do apologize for the spelling mistake as well, you're in. Please, I think that again will set the tone as well for all of us. So thank you very much indeed. Yeah, thank you. So could you please tell us what sector you're in, whether you're in HR, whether you're in general management, or non-management, or construction. So I know all my colleagues are from the construction industry, so thank you for being here as always, as we try to improve the industry with Sue today as well. And lots of you are graduate, non-management, HR, and that's why we're here today, to really kind of get Sue's wisdom and expertise. So Sue, 76% of the audience has voted. I'm just going to stop polling now and share the result with you. Right, so we can see the result. 6% HR, 16% general management, 15% non-management, and a whopping 67% is construction professional. The construction professional, there's also HR there as well. So don't worry too much about that, Sue.
All right, great.
Okay, so I'm just going to stop sharing, and then all yours, Sue, for you to share your screen.
Great, thank you everyone for sharing, you know, what roles you're in, and it's great to see a few HR people on the call, on the webinar today. What I'm going to share today isn't specific to HR, it's really relevant, it's very universal, and it's just around life, you know, for all people everywhere. So, you know, don't think that this is just for HR professionals. I'm just going to share my screen.
Sure, just before you start quickly, why did you decide to write a book on HR? I'm sure many of you will buy this book, but what was the purpose of you to really put down your thoughts and your wisdom on this book?
Yeah, so for me, you know, I kind of like thought, actually, what is it that I can do that will really make a difference out there? I found that HR has not had a very good reputation over the years. You know, lots of people think HR are not very approachable and supportive. Many business owners feel like they're very restrictive. They don't, you know, they're just not supportive to the business. Yeah. And I really got that having that reputation doesn't serve the HR industry at all. So I, you know, in my role, in every role that I've done, obviously I've learned loads of new, you know, got new insights and new learnings, but I've always been known to be one of the best HR professionals that whenever I've left you know, a store or a company, you know, people have always declared that, you know what, they've just loved working with me. And a lot of my previous work colleagues are actually really dear friends of mine. So I wanted to teach other HR professionals, you know, what it's going to take for them to become somebody that people value, people want them around, and people really can see how supportive and just really be able to make a difference to, you know, organizations and people. You know, there's HR is either very process driven, very, you know, compliant, you know, we've got to follow the policy, or there's HR professionals who are too soft and don't, you know, make decisions. And for me, the book is around how do you find balance in all of that.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Sue. I think you can inspire a lot of people today. So thank you very much indeed, and off you go.
Great. So what I'm going to share with you today is, you know, the title is Design an Inspiring Future with Confidence and Clarity. And as I said earlier, the point of this workshop today, or this webinar today, is because the pandemic has created so much uncertainty for people, so much anxiety for people, that, you know, even I myself, as a coach and mentor for HR professionals, you know, I'm listening every day. I'm, you know, coming across people who are dealing with worries and anxieties about their future. You know, so many people are being made redundant at the moment after, you know, the pandemic. You know, businesses are closing, and people are so consumed at the moment with worry of how are they going to get money, what's going to happen to their future, what's going to happen to their children's future. And I wanted to share today, like, from where I've come from. You know, in 2016 was a pivotal year for me in my life. So I'm just going to very quickly share with you, right? I separated from my husband after 10 years in the February of 2016. In the March, the following month, I was made redundant after my 27-year job at Tesco. And in the April, I had to sell my house. So I went, in the 3 months, I went from being, you know, having a supportive family network, a secure job, living in my own home, to being a single parent, living on my own with no family around me, having no job, no income, and having to live in a rented home for the first time in my life. And you can imagine, like, by May and June, I was a complete wreck. You know, I had all these anxieties about my future. I was worried for my daughter's future. She was only 11 at the time. You know, I was like, I had all these dreams for my daughter. I was like, how am I gonna, like, make them come true now, you know? So I lived in this world of anxiety, confusion, and really in despair of, like, I don't know what I'm going to do next. So today, what I'm going to share with you are just some of the things that I've learned through taking myself on, through developing myself. And that was why I wanted to ask a lot of you in the beginning, is like, how many of you spend time on your personal development? You know, we've all been taught, right? I'm sure many of you can relate to this, is as we're growing up, through school and through our early years, you know, our parents have always taught us that, you know, you get a job and you earn an income, and then you get married, then you have children, then you just pay bills, right? You know, and that's what we've done. And, you know, there's nothing else going on outside of that. And some people, you know, like, some of us are fulfilled doing that. But actually, I know many people are not fulfilled because everyone has a bigger dream, all right? And this is really about inspiring you to be able to live your dream. Like, if you could have your future any way, like, what would that be like? What would you do? Who would you be? And how would you go about doing that? Because many of us are very afraid of taking risks, of being different. You know, we conform to what our families do and want. We conform to what our friend circles do, and we don't break out of that, okay? And for me to be where I am now, you know, like, being an author, being a keynote speaker is very different to what any of my family or any of my friends have ever done, you know, and they're all incredibly proud of me, but I had to go through taking risks, lots of risks, to be where I am now, all right? I mean, even, you know, even showing up on a webinar and speaking up takes something, all right? So I just want to share with you today, you know, what's available for you. And I hope that you get inspired to go out there and really search for what that is and bring your dream, like, to you. All right?
Yeah.
Good. So just to give you a little bit of background, as Anil said, and thank you so much for that lovely welcome and lovely acknowledgement of who I am. I am the director of the HR Leadership Academy, and we provide coaching, mentoring, and training for HR professionals around their careers, around building their credibility. And we also run a HR networking club, which is at the moment, through the pandemic, we're an online club where we just focus on developing HR professionals. So a group of us get together and we focus on a subject. I mean, like we've got one coming up on the 23rd of July. You know, as you've all probably heard in the news, there's massive controversy going on around Black Lives Matter. So we're doing a major event around diversity, inclusion, and equality. So those are the kind, we get HR professionals together to support each other and learn from each other. And as Anil said, I'm the author of the book, Putting the Human Back into HR. And this is really about HR professionals understanding that you can be more human in the role. Okay, we've become too clinical, we've become too process driven, and the job doesn't need to be like that, because nobody feels fulfilled in a role that's all about ticking boxes and, you know, creating policies. We all ultimately as human beings want to connect and build relationships with people. And in my book, I talk about the 5 areas that you need to be effective, which is partnerships, process, productivity, performance, and progress. So that's available on Amazon if you want to check that out. But yeah, so that's just a little bit about me. I live in Southend, and as I said earlier, I've got a 14-year-old daughter now, who, by the way, is an incredible young lady. Last year she won an award for Young Speaker of the Year for a professional speakers academy that we're a part of. So she is also on her journey to, you know, being a leader out there in the world. So I'm very proud of her. All right, so today's agenda looks like this. We're going to break it up into 3 parts, as Anil shared. Part 1 is around really, how do you own your life? Like, you know, we're living in so much, so there's so much to be responsible for, you know, there's so much going on. Is how do you really own what's going on in your life, and what does that really mean? Part 2 is around goal setting, having a vision, and checking in with your values. And then part 3 is habits and routines. And we're going to break after each of these sections to take any questions as we go along. So let's start with owning your life, right? So what does it mean to own your life? Well, what it means to own your life is that, you know what, you're in charge. You're in charge of everything that goes on in your life. You know, you don't blame circumstances. You don't blame people. You don't blame politics or the government for what is in your world. Like, how many of you can really resonate or have heard people talking about the fact that their life doesn't work because of the people in their lives? Their life doesn't work because of their circumstances or their boss, or their life doesn't work because the government's doing this and that. You know, they're so caught up in what everyone else is doing, or their life doesn't work because they don't have money, or their life doesn't work because they don't have the skills, you know. So I'm sure some of this resonates with you, and you've heard people in your lives, you know, saying some of this, okay? So this session is really around, how do you get to be in a space where you actually own your life? You know, here's what we tend to do a lot of the time. When we're in difficult situations, yeah, we often give our power over to others. And what I mean by that is we're sitting in this space of, am I good enough, right? Am I good enough, like, compared to who? And compared to what? You know, there's no blueprint on what good enough really is, you know? So how can you even compare? You know, we sit there and we think, oh, someone else has got a better life than what I have. You know, they're doing really well. But actually, all the time that we're looking over there at people who are doing well, do you realize how many people would love to be in your shoes? You know? So, and actually, you don't know what their journey is. They don't know what your journey is. You've lived through your life. Everything that you've done in your life, everything that you've learned, everything you've experienced has brought you here today, right now, in this moment. Yeah, all the things that you've done, you know, there's no coincidences in life, right? You know, I really believe that is everything happens as it is meant to happen. You know, all the experiences that you've had, all the situations you've been in, all the people that you've met have all happened for a reason, you know, and we are where we are, right? So again, look at that. You know, we feel resentment towards people, we feel angry towards people, we have regrets in our life, we start having this impostor syndrome. Some of you may have experienced that. And it's all giving our power away to others, because we're sitting here thinking we're not good enough, that we need to be like other people, we need to have what other people have. You know, we're not actually owning our own values, our own thoughts, and what we want. We're just going to the next thing. You know, our parents told us, go and get a job. Okay, cool, I'll go and get a job. But actually, I've got this dream. I want to be an actress or whatever that is, or an actor. And you never pursued that, or a football player. You know, you've never pursued that because you thought by not doing what your parents want you to do or your siblings want you to do, that you're going to be different and you're not going to be accepted. Yeah. So we conform with doing what everybody else around us wants to do, and we don't follow our own path. Okay. So we give our power away to others, right?
And Sue, just a quick one on the power to others. Do you think social media, you know, such as Instagram and Facebook, has taken away a bit of other people's happiness? You know, there's been lots of, you know, talk about people look happy on Facebook, but are they really? And then we want to be happy like that. What's your thought on that, Sue?
So, and that just goes back to my thing about giving our power to others. Yeah. So, you know, now we're going to blame Instagram for our happiness. You know, we're going to blame Facebook for our happiness. All right. Other people are doing what they're doing, but it's the meaning that you're giving it. Okay. So if someone else is happy and they're sharing, you know, something wonderful that's happening, you're making it mean I'm not as good as them.
Yeah.
So then your happiness lessens a little bit. Like you're not owning your happiness. You know, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, you know, those platforms are all there. They all provide communication. They provide amazing technology to connect with people. Yeah. It's actually us that abusing the way we're using it. Like, you know, we're giving it meaning. We're worried about how many likes we're going to get on a post. We're worried about how many connections we have, or if we don't have those connections, we're not good enough. If we don't have the likes, we're not good enough. If someone's got a better life, then we're not good enough, right? So it's all really about owning it over here with us, okay? Facebook and Instagram are just platforms for all of us to use, and all of us to use sensibly. If you were really owning your life, it shouldn't matter, wouldn't matter, couldn't matter what anybody else is doing out there. Yeah. And this is where the power really starts, is with you. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So thank you.
Imagine really being able to eliminate these feelings from our life, you know, the guilt, the shame, the blame, the fear, the frustration. You know, how many of you are living in these emotions most of the time, right? When I was made redundant, when I left my husband, when I was on my own, you know, a single mother trying to make it, I was living my life with these emotions, right? And when you're living your life in these emotions, yeah, like in this moment is what is creating your future, okay? We're constantly living in blaming other people, finger pointing or judging other people. But imagine if the freedom you will get from eliminating this. I've been able to eliminate all of this from my life. Like my life is so joyful and peaceful every single day. I wake up out of bed and I know I'm going to make a difference to people because I know who I am. I own every single thing in my life. There's no blame. There's no, this doesn't work or that doesn't work. If it doesn't work, I own it. You know, Tony Robbins says, you know, you look around you, you know, your life is a result of the choices you made. You know, if you want a better life, make different choices. You know, so imagine your life, you know, being able to get rid of these emotions. You know, we constantly feel trapped and contracted when we have these emotions, okay? And it's really about, you know, really how do we start removing them from our life? Because this kind of life, yeah, just really limits us in all areas. Absolutely. You can't have the body that you want. You can't have the health that you want. You can't have the relationships that you want. You know, you can't have the job that you want or the money that you want. And let me tell you, you know, money is not attracted to any of these feelings, these emotions. You know, so if you want to create more in your life, yeah, you've really got to work to eliminate these emotions from your life.
Thank you.
Here we go. Look, these are some of the thoughts that we live in, right? You know, I need to be in control. I'm always angry. I'm not safe in this world. The world's not a safe place. I'm not good enough. I have to keep everyone else happy. I don't like myself. I'm afraid, oh, I have to be perfect. No one likes me. It's not fair. And we live in a world where we want to look good. Everything that we're thinking, all our thoughts, everything that's going around in our head, everything that we're doing is because we want to look good.
Yeah.
You know, think of a thought where you don't think that it's because you don't want to look good. Like, we all want to look good in front of other people, you know. But let me tell you, like, however much you do, however much you say or think or work hard, your life is not about looking good. Yeah, your life is just about being the best life it could be for you.
Wow.
Yeah. And the more you're feeling, like, I had a conversation with a lady this morning, and she said, oh, I constantly feel judged by people, you know, like, I'm not a good enough mom, and I'm not a good enough colleague, and I'm not a good enough wife. And I said to her, who's judging?
Yeah.
Who's really judging? The person who's judging is you. Like, you're judging yourself, because if those things were not true, it wouldn't make no difference to you. But because when you think other people are judging you, it's a bit like, you know, when people say the truth hurts.
Yeah.
Because right now, that's your truth. Your truth, your limiting belief, or your belief is that you're not good enough. So if someone comes around and says something that you've done is not good or not good enough, you believe it because it's true for you. All right. But actually, you know, this is about you really eliminating these kinds of thought patterns. And I know it's not easy to do, because, you know, I've grown up with these limiting beliefs all of my life. You know, I was not good enough. I was not adequate enough. I wasn't cool enough. You know, I was bullied by a group of girls at school where they excluded me in the playground, and I had nobody to talk to but the dinner lady, you know, and I was just not cool. I made it mean I was not cool, not good enough. And I just thought, you know what, it's just better off if I just hide away in the background and I don't show up and I don't speak up, because then, you know, I don't have to get rejected.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's a story that I made up. Yeah. We have all made up these stories from things that have happened in our past. We've made up stories. We've made meaning out of the thing that happened. You know, I had an incident where my mum said something to me, all right, and I made it mean that my mum didn't love me or my mum didn't care about me. And then all the rest of my few years, you know, after that, I constantly felt looking for reasons why my mum doesn't love me or why she doesn't care about me, right? And then I got angrier towards her and angrier towards her, until I realized that actually it was just something that I made up when I was young, and I just can't keep holding my mum responsible for the way my life is. How many of you out there are holding your parents responsible for your life? You know, your parents, the government, Instagram, you know, like, we're constantly want to blame someone else for the way our life is, okay? But to really own your life is to eliminate some of these thoughts out, well, all of these thoughts.
Awesome.
Okay. So it starts with taking 100% responsibility for your life. All right. And I'm going to just share with you a roadmap that works every time. Okay. So we've got to learn to take responsibility for our values and thoughts. Right. Yeah. So what I mean by that is that it starts with our values and our thoughts. Like, what are our values? And I really want you to look at, like, what are your values? You know, when somebody asks me, like, who do I want to be for the world? Who do I want to be for people? Underneath everything, who I wanted to be was love, leadership, and empowerment. And those are my three things that I really wanted to be for people. I wanted to just be love and show love in everything that I did. I wanted to provide leadership for everyone to really step into their greatness, and empowerment because I want people to take action for their lives. You know, and from today, I really want you to at least take one action that's going to have you be in a better place for your future. All right. So those three things were really like my values, but they didn't come straight away, right? So for ages, I didn't know what my values were. So I was all over the place. Yeah. And when we're all over the place and we're not connected to who we are, we then try to be like someone else. How many of you had tried to be like your boss, or tried to be like your dad, or tried to be like your big brother or your sister, or, you know, like we try, because we don't know, we're not connected to who we are.
Yeah.
Right? And then you get your thoughts. So our thoughts govern pretty much everything that we do. Yeah. And I don't know if you've heard this phrase, but you know, if you leave your mind, if you don't be proactive and you manage your mind, so your mind is like a garden, all right? If you don't tend to it, you grow weeds.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you have to do instead is start planting flowers. Right?
Wow.
And a lot of the time we don't actually make time to focus on, what am I thinking? Am I aware of what I'm thinking? Why am I thinking negatively? Why am I thinking like this? Why am I thinking that my brother's going to let me down, or my mother's going to let me down? You know, why am I thinking that? We don't spend enough time on our development. And we said earlier, right, you know, was it 29% of people on the call today do no personal development in the week?
Yeah.
And I think
Exactly.
it was it 60 something or 50 something percent that spent 5 hours a week?
That's
and
right.
Then we had 30% people who spent 10 hours. Like, good on you guys if you're spending time on your personal development, because this is the work that you've got to do to really own your life. It's the personal development journey, reading books. I mean, we're going to share about it in a bit anyway, but you know, really working on you. All right. We don't, you know, my parents come from India. They never thought that they needed to work on their mindset. Yeah. And you know, people just do all the time, you know, they just do work, you know, make food, clean the house, all that. They just do stuff. Yeah. Nobody ever thinks about being, who do I need to be?
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
And they just get consumed in their thoughts all the time, right? And a lot of the time we're thinking negatively, we're not thinking empowering thoughts, right? A lot of the time.
And
So and then it's about, yeah.
Already you mentioned 3 keywords: love, leadership, and empowerment. I think that's really, really important that you just said. So everybody, can you put your hands up for Sue on this one? I think that's really, really, I think powerful. Love, leadership, and empowerment. Thank you, Sue. All yours.
Thank you. So those are my, like, that's who I want to be for people. I want all of you to think about, who do you want to be for people, right? So what are your 3 words that's going to have you be empowered around really making a difference in the world? Okay. So going back to this roadmap here, you know, our values and our thoughts are underpinning everything that we do. Okay. Then you get your beliefs. You know, how many of you believe that money doesn't grow on trees? How many of you believe that you can't earn 10 times the money that you're already on? How many of you believe that you can't have the house that you want to live in? How many of you believe that you can't be in a better situation than what you are, right? So those beliefs have been embedded within us, you know, have been created, you know, through our experiences, you know, through our values and the thoughts that we created through the experiences that we've had. Yeah, we might have picked it up from our parents, we might have picked it up from our teachers, we might have picked those beliefs up from, you know, how many times do people say to you when you were young, you know, your parents said, stop talking, right? You made it mean that if you talk too much, it's not good, or your parents will not like it. So you created a belief about not talking. And so now when it comes to public speaking or sharing, you don't talk, you don't share, right? But that's a belief that you formed about yourself, is I shouldn't speak up because it's not good. You know, I had a belief around money, you know, in our culture, when it's your birthday or celebration and your family gives you some money and your parents say, no, don't take money from people. I made it mean that it's bad to take money from people. You know, so when it came to starting my business in the early days, I was just so caught up in my belief that it's a bad thing to take money from people that I was stuck, you know. So you know, and lots of people don't like having a money conversation because we've got these beliefs around it. Yeah. And so we limit ourselves in that area. And the words we speak, all right. So how many of you say, I'm going to try something? right? Trying is not an empowering word. I want you to eliminate try from your vocabulary, all right? Trying is not doing. It's not, you either will or you won't. Be powerful in the words that you speak. How many of you talk about the bad experiences that you have? How many of you talk about how bad things are? You're constantly speaking into existence the life that you don't want. So really think about the language that you're using, the words that are coming out of your mouth, because you own your values, your thoughts, your beliefs, your words. You own that.
Yeah.
Right? And when you're speaking into existence words, people start creating a listening of you. If you're somebody who gossips about other people, for example, you will be known as somebody who gossips. That's what people will know of you. That's how people will listen to you. All right? If you're somebody who's always negative about things, people will listen to you as someone who's always negative. Yeah. Who wants to be around a person? Nobody's empowered by negative people.
Yeah.
Emotions, really owning. I said about this earlier, your feelings really create your future. So if you're feeling worried now, guess what you're creating for your future? More worry.
Yeah.
All right. If you're feeling joyous and you're feeling grateful, really in gratitude, in love and compassion for people and things, and really being optimistic, all of that, that's creating good energy. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later on as well, right?
Yeah.
Is you're then creating an aura around you of those emotions. Yeah. Who likes being around happy people? Everyone, right?
Yeah, everyone. Can you raise your hand? I think everybody's raising their hand. Yeah, we want to be around happy people. Absolutely.
Yeah, we want to be around high energy people. We want to be around happy people. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some people who are really not in a good place, okay? And I remember somebody saying to me, "You're so positive, it makes me sick." So sometimes you can repel people, but that's not about you. That's just about where they're at, okay? Yeah. And you just got to respect them, that's the place that they're in, and it's got nothing, it's not about you. So there is something around really understanding the energy and, really considering, what's going on with the people around you as well.
Yeah.
So, I learned a lot from that when somebody said that to me. Actually, I do need to be mindful of how people, because I am very high energy and very optimistic and positive and all of that stuff, right? And I know that lots of people are not. So for me, it's important that because I'm so aware, I can manage their expectations as well and meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
And then your behaviors, right? Your behaviors show up. So when you own your values, your thoughts, your beliefs, the words that you speak and your emotions, guess how you're going to start behaving? You're going to start taking different actions. You're going to start behaving in different ways with people. You're going to provide leadership. You're going to provide empowerment. You're going to provide love. You're just going to be a certain way, right? Your behaviors is all around how you're being with people, right? And that really that's how people see of you. Your body language is in a certain way. You're making eye contact. You're speaking up. You're sharing. You're speaking your truth. You're standing for what's important. So your behaviors start to follow, all right? And then your actions, the actions, if you've got this dream that you want to fulfill on, you're going to be able to take those actions because everything else so far is aligned to you fulfilling on your dream, okay?
Absolutely.
And then you get the results that you want in your life, all right? From those results, then it's about really owning and being proactive around getting feedback. And the feedback usually is around, like, let me take, for example, writing my book, all right? I wanted to write this book. I've never written a book before. And I was just thinking of myself as this little Indian girl, like, why, who am I to write a book? Based on my, old thoughts and my old values, like I was like, that's just not who I am. But when I created that, actually who I am is love, leadership, and empowerment for people. There's some values that I wanted to live by. My thoughts started to change that, no, I'm going to write this book. along the way, I had to believe that I was going to write this book, yeah, and it was going to work. And I was speaking into existence that I'm an author, I'm writing a book, and I'm going to make a difference to other HR professionals. And my feelings of pride and, you know, what it was going to be like when I saw somebody on the train reading my book, you know, and then my behavior started to go in line. You know, I was I was like working with different people, surrounding the right people around me. My actions were writing a chapter every week or every month, however I broke that down. And the result was that I published my book, and it's the perfect book. You know, it's how I visualized my book to be, right? And the feedback there is the amount of people that are reading my book who have given me the feedback that the book has been so helpful in their jobs. Like, that is the ultimate feedback. But that's how you can use this kind of roadmap to really work on the areas in your life that are not working for you or not working as well, and really start looking at the core of what your values are, what you're thinking about it, what kind of beliefs do you have around it, what are the words that you're speaking, what are the emotions that you're having, how are your behaviors, what actions are you taking, what results you're going to get, and then obviously owning your feedback. So I hope that's been really kind of helpful in terms of really taking responsibility, you know. And when you own your life, yeah, you get to own every area of your life. You get to own your health, your relationships. You know, how many of you think, oh, my relationship's not good because my husband does this or my mother does this, or you get to own that. You get to say, do you know what? It's because I'm like this. Let me give you another story here, right? I hadn't spoken to my dad for 15 years. My parents divorced when I was 14 years old. All right. And my dad left. And he never contacted us. He never showed up. Never, you know, we didn't know where he was. Right. And I was like, what kind of a dad doesn't want to care about his children? What kind of a dad doesn't contact his children? What kind of a dad doesn't want to be part of their life? You know, and he was never there when I went through the good times. He was never there to help me through my struggles in life. And I just made my dad, it just made it mean like I didn't need my dad. Like my dad was dead for me. All right. And it was only when I started to really work on my personal development, yeah, and I started to think about being love, leadership, and empowerment, I really got, yeah, that it doesn't matter who my dad is for me. Who do I want to be for my dad?
Yeah.
Right? So I called my brother, got my dad's number, and I called my dad, and I was really upset with myself because I hadn't been in touch with my dad. And my dad said, you know, why are you crying? And I said, look, I'm just sorry. I haven't been there for you. Yeah. I haven't been in your life and I haven't been there for you. And I just said, I'm sorry. And he just said, it's okay. How's my granddaughter? You know, when you can really take ownership for the things that are not working in your life, yeah, life becomes really magical and miracles start to happen. That was the first year my dad had all his children, all the grandchildren around his house for dinner for the first time in, well, nearly 20 years.
Wow.
You know, and I got to be everything that I said I was going to be: love, leadership, and empowerment for my family. But you get to do that in your work, with your money, with your, you know, your relationships, with your health, right? How many of you say, oh, I want a six-pack, or I want to have a fit body, you know, but you don't take ownership for it and you don't work hard for it? You know, you're just kind of expecting God to maybe wave a magic wand and make it happen for you. You know, you've got to do the work. You've got to really commit to doing so. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later on.
So,
here's a tool that you can use.
Just a quick one, Sue. Let's take some question, and then for you for a quick breather as well, because I can see you talking till midnight to us today. You've got so much to share. So let me get the first question from Michael. Michael from South Africa says, isn't the new future all about being able to and being willing to reinvent yourself? So is the future about reinventing yourself? What's your thought on that quickly?
Yeah, do you know what, Michael? That's a good question, right? But you don't need to reinvent yourself because you already are perfect. Oh. You already are perfect as you are. What you now need to look at is what areas of your life are not working or not working as well as you would like it to. Create a plan for that area and transform it.
All right, thank you, Sue. We've got Chris who says, thank you for your inspiring introduction. He's definitely going to look at your daughter, your book, and congratulations to your daughter as well. So thank you for Chris. Thank you, Zuleika, as well. We've got Zoya, a very pertinent question. In times of pandemic, how can HR professionals help employees ease in the shift to the work from home basis and decrease any challenges one may face in such situation, especially for employees who are used to 9 to 5 office work? So how do you bridge the gap from a 9 to 5 office work to working from home with a disciplined and structured approach?
Okay, so here's a couple of things, right? There's lots of information out there on creating routines, and we're going to speak about that later on. Yeah. But it's about actually when you're owning your life, it's not about the HR person helping you, right? We are all obviously there to support employees, right? But you, what was the name of the person? Sorry?
Zoya.
Zoya, so you are already a leader, right? You're not just an employee, you're leading every area of your life, all right? For you to look at is how can you find a routine? Your HR manager can give you a routine. It might not work for you, all right? Find your routine. What do you need to do? 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. When can you take a break? And then, you know, like how can you fit it in between with your, you know, homeschooling or your childcare or making dinner or whatever that is? You create your plan, right? This is what owning your life is all about, is you own your life, you create your schedule, you create your routines. Other people can give you guidance, and that's what I'm here to do today. But ultimately, you're a leader of your life. You create that.
So thank you very much indeed. We've got a question from Deorani Anita. What is personal development? And how do you define personal development? So what is it? I think that's a very important question for all of us listening and watching you today. What is personal development, and how do you define personal development?
So for me, personal development is working on you, all right? We spend so much time working on businesses. We spend so much time working on the family. We spend so much time working on everything on the outside that actually we don't work on ourselves. We don't work on our own well-being. We don't work on our mindset. We don't work on how can we be more powerful, right? Because when you've got these limiting beliefs, things that are stopping you in life from feeling free, from feeling joyful, from feeling excited about life, right? You're limiting yourself. You're not doing the work on you, right? And the ways that you can do that are things like reading books, watching loads of, you know, listening to people like Tony Robbins or Wayne Dyer or Brian Tracy, you know, some real key influencers over the years. You know, they've been around for years and years, done lots of studies around mindset and how you can create a more powerful life. This is all that we're talking about today is all personal development. If you look at this wheel of life here, you know, all these different areas, this is personal development, is how satisfied are you in all of those areas of your life, right? And for you to really look at, like, if you're not happy with your work, like, what do you need to do around that? Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's many religious people here, but if you look at all your religious scriptures, you know, they'll all be talking about, you know, when anything's going on in your life here is about looking within. Yeah. The answers for why things are not working in your life is not to do with other people or circumstances or money or relationships, or it's all to do with who you are and how you think. Yeah. So personal development is working on your mindset, developing a strong mindset to live the life that you want.
Awesome. We've got a question from Yasser. Yasser says, COVID and the crisis that has happening right now has caused us trauma and a feeling of uncertainty. How do we behave with, you know, these unprecedented times right now for all of us? Few words on that, Sue.
I've already answered this question in the presentation, is that circumstances happen, you know, like the pandemic. Like in 2016, I separated from my husband, I lost my job, and I had to sell my house. Like that was a pandemic for me, right? But what did I do about that? Yes, I was living in lots of anxiety and uncertainty, okay? But actually what I did instead was say, okay, this is where I am, right? This is where it is. This is what life has given us right now. Now, what do I want to do about it?
Yeah, thank you.
Ask yourself. So just ask yourself, like, what is it you now want to do with what you've got? You know, is you're still responsible for your life. Stuff happens.
Okay, Tanya is sharing her experience with you. I totally relate to how Sue felt when she lost her family, job, house within months. I started 2020 with well-structured career plan, and everything was going according to that plan until the pandemic happened in March. I've been trying to pick myself up since, but it is hard because my profession depended a lot on international travel. I tried to explore the career option, but there's so much uncertainty in the wake-up of COVID-19. How do I face this nagging fear of failure on a daily basis, Sue? So already Tanya is in massive trouble. She can't travel. Just quick advice to Tanya on this one.
Yeah, thank you, Tanya. And, you know, I really acknowledge you for being here today, even though you're dealing with, you know, quite a few challenges in your life, all right? Now, as I said earlier, stuff happens, yeah? By worrying and feeling anxious about what's going to happen over there isn't going to change your circumstances, all right? The only thing that you could do right now is accept that in this present moment, right here, right now, is all you've got.
Yeah.
All right. And all you've got is this moment, because in this moment, right here, right now, you're okay. Right. There's a great quote that I read. It said, people that live, when people have depression, they're living in the past. Okay. When people have anxieties, they're worried about the future. Okay. But where people are really in balance is because they're living in the present moment.
Wow.
All right. The only reason you've got anxieties right now is because you're expecting your future to go a certain way.
Yeah.
All right. And right now you can't see your future being great. Right. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but if you can't see your future being great, then guess what you're creating in your future right now?
Yeah.
It not being great.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you can manage I've already said to you earlier, haven't I? Is like you've got to really manage your emotions, right? And I know it's not an easy thing to do, but living in gratitude for everything that you have right now is really your best bet. Okay. And I'll tell you why later on.
Okay, Jason, we'll take the final question quickly from Abhijit from India. 2 tips to handle tough guy in job, especially horrible bosses. So 2 tips of how to handle horrible bosses.
So if your boss is horrible, so here's one thing that you got to understand, right? Is you can't change people, right?
No.
All you can do is change who you are and how you're being with your boss, right? You can make 2 decisions. You can choose to either transform your relationship with your boss, right? And tell your boss how you feel, yeah, powerfully without making them wrong. Or you can leave and go and get a job where you feel valued. If you're working with a boss, that's horrible. It's not about your boss. It's about your own limiting beliefs. It's about your own insecurities. It's about your own lack of confidence to believe that you could be in a better job. It's the same with relationships, isn't it?
So you mentioned something in your book where you say people leave their bosses as opposed to their company. Could you just quickly elaborate on that for us on your book?
Yeah, so you know the book is around really getting managers to understand that, you know, if they're losing people. So as a manager, you don't want to lose people in your team who are great, all right? And if you've got great people in your team, you don't want to lose them, right? So as a manager, you got to really get is how can you serve those people? Now you've got a boss who is horrible, so he doesn't care if he loses you, clearly. Yeah. All right. So that's what's happening for him. But that's not for you to transform as long as you're doing everything that you should be doing. You know, either you need to find your power and have an empowering conversation with him and tell him what you're thinking and feeling without making him wrong, because he's going to get defensive, right? So we've got to really find ways of really communicating with honesty and truth with people. or go and get another job, because if he's being horrible to you, he doesn't care if you go and get another job.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so.
And you deserve better. You don't deserve to have a horrible boss.
Exactly, Abhijit. So just to moving on now, Anita just confirmed what you just said. Personal development is not only about reading and getting a good mental well-being, but I agree with you that the wheel of life covers everything about personal development. And also, you also talk about getting fit. For me, this is also personal development, taking care of yourself. So all yours, take it away for the next presentation. We've got about 15 minutes to go, and it's going really, really quick. So all yours, and take it away, Sue.
Awesome, thank you. Time goes really quick when you're having fun, right? That's what they say. So, okay, so here is a couple of quotes that I want to kind of leave with you. This was like the end, the last slide, right? So the first one is, your attention, please. No one is coming to save you. Like, this life is yours, is 100% your responsibility. All right. And they're all kind of saying the same thing, but from different people. The moment you take responsibility for everything in your life is the moment you can change anything in your life. All right. And there are two primary choices in life: to accept conditions as they exist, or accept the responsibility for changing them. Right. And you are responsible for your life. You can't keep blaming somebody else for your dysfunction. Life is really about moving on. So from the stuff that I've already spoken about, guys, right, is don't just listen to the words that I'm saying. I really want you to lean in and look at how can you bring it to your life. So I've already shared with you that your life is not made from anybody else. Your life is your responsibility. Like, the way your life is not because of your mom, your dad, your boss, your horrible boss, or Instagram, or the pandemic, or it's not because of any of that. Your life is the way it is because you choose to have it that way right now. You're not working on yourself. Like, there's always something to look at and learn. When we go through our most challenging times in life, is when we grow. You know, and I'm sure some of you have gone through very challenging situations in your life. You know, people have gone through, death in the family, they've gone through, but they've all learned how to come through it. Yeah, loads of different situations have happened in people's lives. All right, and they've learned how to live through it. They found their strength and they've worked on themselves to get through it. All right, your life is your responsibility. It is how it is right now. What do you want to do about it? That's my question to you. Okay. And then excellence really is not a place to get to. All right. It's actually a place to come from. There's nowhere to get to. It's all about over here. You can't say, oh, I'm excellent because I'm like them, or I'm excellent because I tick all the boxes over there. Excellence is about who you say, or what you say excellence is, and you come from that. Like, you are consistent, you are who you say you're going to be, and you're in integrity with that. So if I say I'm love, leadership, and empowerment, I show up as that every single day, in every moment. All right, cool. And then we're done. Have we got any other questions? You're on mute, Anil.
Yeah, sorry. So we've got a question from a friend of mine who's a QS, Logan. Logan says, what is the balance we have? What's the balance we have to have between knowing and becoming? So how do you balance knowing and becoming?
What a beautiful question. Logan, was it? Yeah. Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me tell you something, right? Lots of us go to events, go to CPD, go to workshops, whatever, to go and find out more information. Yeah, we go to learn, don't we? So that we can know more stuff. Yeah. All right. But knowing doesn't carry the day. All right. So how many of you know that to lose weight, you have to eat less and move more? How many of you know that? Right? We all know that. but knowing doesn't carry the day. What you got to look at is, who do you need to become to make that a reality?
Right.
All right. So it's really about becoming the transformation that you want. It's not knowing, you can't just keep going to, people call it shelf development. They constantly go to workshops and then they put their folder on a shelf or the book on the shelf, and it becomes shelf development. This is not what we're talking about. This is about you really leaning into something. So today, from some of the stuff that I'm sharing with you, I'm sharing my knowledge and my experience and who I'm being with you. But already I can hear in the questions that what I'm saying to you is that it's not the pandemic's fault. It's not your mother's fault or your boss's fault. Your life is the way it is because you're not taking responsibility. All right. So look at what can you do to change the way your life is if it isn't how you want it to be.
Okay,
yeah?
Thank you. So got another question from an anonymous attendee, this one. Thank you for your inspiring talk. Sometimes I lack the motivation to continue develop in secular education when being active in religion. I do not know how to have this balance between religion and secular education. Can you please share your thoughts on that based on experience?
I think for me, it's around a lot of those words, like again, using the language that you're using, you got to choose how you want your life to be, right? Religion is very personal to people, okay? And, there's some really great beliefs that you can adopt in your religion, whatever religion you are. I'm Hindu, and for me, it's about being a good human being, being somebody who's in service of other people, all right? And I live my life through that. Yeah, every religion tells you to be someone who serves other people. Yeah, so you get to choose how you want to live. Like if you're feeling like you have to be a certain way, you don't have freedom. All right. But you get to choose how you want to live your life. And religion, as I said, for me, my culture is very important to me. We celebrate our main festivals, Diwali, and all of that. And I love it. I love it that my daughter has access to that. I love it that we're a culture very family orientated. I love it that we all get together. But it's just human being, it's all about being human, but you get to choose how you want to live your life.
Okay, we've got a question from Ashbin. Is there any best practices or ethics governing remote home working, especially online meeting, time to reply email, or attending phone call at any time? So based on your HR experience, do you promote those type of, what's your thought? Because we are now 27 on our phones and non-stop. So what are the best practices and ethical behavior when it comes to working around the clock for all of us here listening to you?
Yeah. I think for all of us, like when we're working for an organization, it's really important to make an agreement with your boss and your team around, screen time, communication, and really being open and transparent about how it's going to work for you as a team. You've got to have some team ground rules, team guidelines, and it's for everybody to sign up to those guidelines, So what I say might be different for you. What I might say will be different for someone else. So there's no set. I don't think that you can really articulate one set guideline around it. I think you've got to create an agreement with your team and your boss around what works for you.
Okay.
And take ownership around that.
Yeah, thank you. Another question, great question from an anonymous attendee. Does contentment suffice to live a fulfilling life? I think that's a great question. So does contentment suffice to live a fulfilling life? What's your views on that?
I don't know. I think you got to decide that, right? For me, I want to just serve people, and if I'm serving just one person every day, that's fulfillment for me. I know I've done a good day's work, right? So it's about you creating what is fulfillment for you, like what will make you feel fulfilled, right? It's different for everybody, and you got to decide what that is for you.
Yeah.
For me, it's about making a difference to people.
And what's your advice to all the HR and the project managers and the professional listening to you about how to really treat people to get the best out of them? Having worked for Tesco for so many years, one of the biggest retailers in the UK, what's your advice and wisdom, the way we treat? And I think in one of the quotes I read when I started the webinar was that before we enter a meeting, leave our thoughts behind, go in there and learn as much as we can. We tend to listen to reply as opposed to listen to understand. What's your thought on that, Sue?
Yeah, 100%. You know, often we go into conversations with people because we want to tell them what we think and give our views, and actually we don't really listen. You know, there's a really great quote that says, to be heard, listen.
Yeah.
You know, and really getting into the world of other people. A great book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, you know, is a great book around how to really interact and be with people. That was one of the first books that I read in my early management years, so check that out.
What's the book again, Sue, for the audience? Could you
How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Yeah. And what he talks about in there is that people have this real desire to be important, right? To feel important. It's one of the top basic needs next to food and water and security, is the feeling of being important. And as a leader, like, why wouldn't you want your team to feel important? Why wouldn't you want your partner to feel important? Why wouldn't you want your children to feel important? You know, we often let our egos get in the way and think, actually, no, I'm important, you know, and there's no fulfillment in that. You're muted, Anil. Oh.
There's a question from Anita again. Sue, please share your journey to being fit. Confinement has led to many people gaining weight, and I know you have been able to keep fit. I'm one of them. I put on weight, and it's just the mindset and everything else that goes with it. What's your advice, Sue?
So Anita, like, you're now letting me show off a little bit, right? Is I created a 6-pack while I've been on lockdown, all right? I wake up at 5:30 every single day. I work out, do lots of weight training, and I do 10 to 15,000 steps every day. I eat very clean and healthy. I work towards my calorie allowance. To really lose weight, you have to be in calorie deficit, which means you have to burn more calories than you eat. And you gotta, you know, I decided to create the 6-pack. I needed to become somebody who has a 6-pack, and that becoming his, you know, to Logan's question is, I needed to become someone who was disciplined, focused, and consistent, which means every day I had to wake up at 5:30 and work out. Every day I had to do my 10,000 steps. It was not negotiable. Every day I had to eat towards my macros, you know, and every day I had to be focused and consistent. So that's how you do it, is to be consistent. Lots of us start off with doing it, and then within 3 days we think, oh, I can't do anymore. So then we stop, all right? But if you really want a goal, you got to create who you need to be. You know, Muhammad Ali, before he became a champion, said, I'm a champion. And he told himself that every single day, in every interview he did, I'm a champion, even when he wasn't. And he created that into existence for himself. He became the person that he said he was going to be.
Wow. Just speaking of question now, so what are you, Lakshay goes on to say, so what you're saying is that we should be adapting to change ourselves at any situation life throws at us at any moment. So essentially you're saying we need to adapt and be resilient as we get things thrown at us.
I love that. Yes, Lakshay, resilience is so key. You know, that's an incredible skill to have. You know, over the years, you know, I've been through some real tough challenges, and you know, resilience and faith has really kept me going. Yeah, and being willing to adapt. You know, I never at one point felt like, why me? Why does this stuff keep happening to me? You know, you've got two choices about your situation. You could be a victim about it and tell everybody how bad your life is, or you can own it and say, do you know what? Yeah, things are not great right now, but this is what I'm going to do about it. You get to choose, right? And Tony Robbins says you get to choose.
Yeah. Okay. Jocelyn, thank you, Sir Neil, and it was really inspiring. Yes, my life is responsibility. Anonymous attendee, what are the key practical things, advice to take into consideration to managing a team successfully to meet a goal or an objective? So what are the few tips as a HR yourself, managing a big team in Tesco? What are the few nuggets and hints and tips you're going to give us?
All right, cool. So can we make this the last question, because I've got a few more slides that I want to go through.
Yes. Yeah.
And we can take some questions at the end. Yeah.
No problem.
So to manage a team, you got to look at everybody in your team as a leader. All right. Often when we're a manager, we think everybody in our team are just workers, right? And we start thinking of them as less people, like they're not capable of doing this or that or whatever, right? When you start thinking of every one of your team as a leader, because let me tell you, outside of work, they're leading their families, they're leading their budgets for their, paying their bills, they're leading their children, they're leading their health, like they're leaders in their life, right? They don't just come to work and be a worker. Yeah, you got to look at their greatness, look at what capabilities, what can you bring out of them, how can you really help them grow to be leaders? And often as managers, we accept responsibility for their performance. We don't need to do that. We need to get every employee in the organization taking responsibility for their own performance. And when we're doing that, when we're really listening to our people as leaders, your job as a manager or a leader becomes so much more simpler.
Okay, so all yours for your part two. Let me just ask a quick question to the audience, because and then we'll take your slide. So let me just share that with the audience quickly. It'd be good to know the question you had for part one. So let me ask the audience now. If you can see my slide, please. Yeah. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you have overcome? So if we go to menti.com, please, MENTI and .com, and use the code 265687. So go to www.menti.com and use the code 265687, and it's also give a chance for Sue to drink some water as well, as she prepare for the next part of it. So please get back in on it. What are some of the biggest challenges? Whoa, divorce. Wow, okay, so depression, confrontation, losing weight, death. Yeah, we all experience that. So what are some of the biggest advice, or biggest challenges that you have to overcome? Miscarriages, yeah, I'm so sorry about that. Anxiety, confronting the boss, car accident, coma, wow, insubordination, burnout at work. Don't we all? Almost depression. Can you see all this coming through, Sue?
Yes, I can, yeah.
Yeah, already 20 of our colleagues has already answered. Faith in myself, ego of others. Wow. So waste of potential, anxiety, depression, and confrontation being the big three right now.
Yeah, so can I just say something about this? Like, I feel really incredibly honored to be around human beings that have really overcome some of these challenges. You guys are all leaders in your own right, that you will have gone through some of these challenges and that you're here listening to what I'm saying. You already know some of the stuff that I've shared about, all right? You know it, you just haven't become the person that you need to become to move yourself forward.
Yeah, and what's your thought on what's happening right now on menti.com? So as you can see, lots of comment coming in, and
Incredible. Can you just take a picture of that? Is that okay?
yeah, we will get a
Yeah.
we will get the, I'll send that over to everybody, so that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna stop sharing, but already
Yeah.
guys, and all the participants right now, depression, anxiety, losing weight, fear, divorce, all these there are huge, and thank you for sharing as well to all these, you know, there's miscarriages, self-confidence, faith in myself, injustice. Thank you everybody for sharing that with Sue as we move on to part 2. So thank you very much indeed. Sue, all of you, part 2, and try to wrap up part 3 as well, as we've only got about 40 minutes.
Yeah,
so
we'll. Yeah, we'll.
So thank you very much indeed, Sue.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for your honesty and sharing that, everyone.
So everybody, as you share the second slide, we're going to have about 40 minutes. So please bear with us as we go through this impactful part 2 and part 3 from Sue from the UK right now.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so the next part is really, you know, we've discovered like what is it that holds us back? What are some of the thoughts, beliefs, feelings, and situations that kind of hold us back in our life, right? The next part is really around what do we do about creating a future? You know, life is all about creating the future that you want to live into. We spend so much time living in what we don't want in our future rather than actually creating the future that we're living in, right? So if I said to you, I want to, I remember, like when I first got made redundant, I created a vision board for myself, right? And I put on there this picture of this, you know, holiday place that I wanted to go to. I didn't put a name to it. It was just a picture of the turquoise sea and the white sands. You probably know, being in Mauritius, right? Like how beautiful that is. And I just put it on my vision board. And I didn't think anything of it, but I thought, you know what, I want to go to amazing holidays like that, right? When, you know, in the future, in my future. And I put it on my vision board, and no word of a lie, 12 to 18 months later, I was in the Maldives, right? And I didn't realize it, but I was like, how did I get here? How did I manifest being in the Maldives? And then when I came back and I looked at my vision board, I was like, oh my God, like I created that. Yeah, like I had that vision of me being on this island in my future, and I created that. So what there is to learn from that is that you get to create your vision in every single moment that you're in, okay? And you know, this is what we're going to
Sorry to stop you as well. How do you put a vision board? Is it a whiteboard? Is it something on your desktop? If I want to create a vision board and asking a question on behalf of the participant, how do you put a vision board together?
Yeah, you get a big piece of card, like it's got to be a real board. Yeah, so don't do it on your desktop because it's not as you don't create the feelings around it. When you do it, when you're creating, when you're cutting pictures out and you're making a board with everything that you want to create in your future, you're putting meaning to it and you're adding feelings to it. So don't do it on your desktop, do it in real, you know. But it's just so powerful to do, okay? And there's loads of videos on YouTube around how to go and create the perfect vision board.
Right, thank you.
So the impact of not having a vision is that you then settle for less in your life. You know, you don't even know where your life's going. In fact, what you then do is, if you don't have a clear, inspiring vision in your life, is you're living in worry and anxiety. Yeah, a lot of the time, wondering how your future is going to go. Now, we were never taught in school by our parents that you could create the vision that you want in your life. We were never taught that. But do you know what? You really can create your future by owning your life and creating a vision for yourself. Okay? And why do most people don't have a vision? Because based on their past, they don't believe that their vision's going to come true. Yeah? Or they think, actually, what's the point of having a vision? It's not going to happen anyway. Yeah. Right? The reason it doesn't happen is because you don't take responsibility and you don't take the actions that you need to take, and you don't come out of your comfort zone. That's why your vision doesn't happen. So you can make your vision come true, but you got to be willing to do the work to make it. You got to take responsibility, do the actions that you need to take to create your life that you want. All right. Often this is what we do, okay? This is how life works for us when we're working. We're always too busy. You know, we spend 70% of time on tasks and to-do lists. We spend 20% on relationships, you know, with people, interacting, communicating, and then 10% maybe you spend on yourself and your development. Yeah, I'm sure many of you can resonate with this. The sweet spot is to have balance in all of these areas. And often we think because we're doing task, that's what's going to get us closer to our dream. Yeah. But actually, unless you do the work, unless you become the person that you need to become to realize your dream, it's not going to change. And a lot of the tasks that we're doing are all maintenance tasks. It's all things to keep things going afloat for now. We're not doing anything around progression, you know, moving forward. We're just keeping the status quo, right? You know, if you look at your future, you know, from some of the questions that we've had already is, what does your future look like for you right now? How many of you are thinking like, you're going to be homeless, you're going to have no job, you're going to have no money, you're going to have, you know, like how many of you are looking into a future that isn't great, you know, and feeling anxious about it? All right. It's only that way because you're creating that, right? So having a vision board is going to help you change the way you're looking at your future. So the point of a vision or a goal is to give you purpose, is to give you inspiration, is to give you empowerment, to move you forward, to grow, give you a sense of achievement, and leave behind a legacy. You know, what is a legacy that you're leaving behind for your family, your kids, your colleagues, the people in your life? You know, and this is how you get to own it. You create that vision for yourself. So just having a vision doesn't work, right? Is you got to be really clear on what is your mission in life. Be clear on your vision, understand your values, which we've already spoken about, and make sure your behaviors are aligned to those values. All right. Some of the, you know, values or your behaviors, you know, around honesty, integrity, respect, and family. So get connected to who you are. We've already spoken a little bit about that. Okay. And then what is a great goal? You know, everybody's heard of the acronym SMART goals. You know, I find them really boring when people say, oh, you know, you should have SMART goals. It's really boring. But I think, you know, you need to be very, do you need to be specific or do you need to be vivid? If you see, I don't know, I want to drive a red Tesla in my future, right? It's not just any old Tesla, it's a red Tesla, all right? And I want to have all these mod cons in there, and I can imagine myself sitting in the car and really visualizing myself being in that Tesla. When I get that, I'm going to take a picture and send it to you, Anil. Okay.
And also, so you mentioned SMART on your book as well, where you really take the SMART, S-M-A-R-T, and you kind of turn it into more of a practical way. What's your advice for us looking to look at your book?
Yeah, so I'm just going to elaborate a little bit more on that. Is that, you know, SMART is a general acronym that everybody knows. So I use that in my book, right? But, you know, it's not just about having your goals being smart. It's about making them measurable, making them very vivid and colorful, owning them. You know, does it need to be a realistic goal or does it need to be a fantasy? It could be both, you know, because, you know, Martin Luther King said, I have a dream, you know. He fulfilled on that. You know, it was something that was impossible at the time, but he had a dream. You know, Mahatma Gandhi, he had a dream and a vision of what he wanted for India. You know, he made that come true. Nelson Mandela, he did the same. You know, there's not many dreamers out there in the world right now. Make your goals timed, make them inspiring, and really get connected to your goals and make them authentic. If you know, in terms of your career, you know, what is your plan for your career? Where are you now? Where do you want to be 1 to 3 years? Where do you want to be 3 to 5 years? Or are you just plodding along in your career? You know, many people in my experience are just plodding along. They don't have a plan, you know, but then I'm meeting 25-year-olds who are becoming CEOs in their corporate jobs. Why? Because they've got a plan and they're working hard towards it. They're taking action. And everything they do, their words, So their thoughts, their values, their thoughts, their beliefs, their words, their behaviors, their emotions are all aligned to their goals. Yeah. And here it is, right? This is the thing that stops us almost always in our delivering our goals, is our commitment. So commitment means staying loyal to what you said you were going to do long after the mood you said it in has left you. You know, how many of us spend set New Year's resolutions, you know, and it lasts for like 2 or 3 weeks and then you're not in the mood anymore, you know? But commitment takes something. You know, how many of you go into relationships and the first few weeks or the first few months is great, but then you start noticing that these people are just weirdos, like who have you ended up with, you know? But actually, when you're really committed to somebody, it's about accepting who they are and who they're not, you know? And that acceptance gives you that freedom. You know, you're committed to that person however they are, right? You're committed to that goal, whether it's difficult or easy. And let me tell you, any goal worth having is not going to be easy.
Yeah.
So keeping it alive, make sure you make time to review your goals, create your vision boards, make post-its to remind you of the things that you want and have them around your house. Reverse engineer your plan. So if your goal is to
post note, just a quick one on the post-it notes. Does it really help to have that around and keep reminding you, and every time you see it and then it goes into and get ingrained in your brain?
100%. I'm going to talk a little bit in a second about habits and routines, yeah, but this
Awesome.
is what's going to really help you create, you know, the life that you want, is like setting yourself some really amazing habits and routines that will have you keep repeating those things, that will have you be in your power. So reverse engineer means if in December you want your goal is look at what do you need to have done by November, what do you need to do by October, what do you need to do by September. So really reverse engineering your plan. Set small micro goals to achieve big goals. Often big goals feel scary and overwhelming, so break those down into small goals. Do your visualization. You've got your board there, but start visualizing. How does it feel to have your vision come to reality? How does it feel when you've got the car? How does it feel when you've got the money? How does it feel when you get that job? Create habits and routines, journaling, writing down your thoughts. Often, you know, we so underestimate some of these really, really great tools, you know, that can really help you. When you listen to people like Will Smith, you know, they do, most successful people are successful because they follow these habits and routines. And then have accountability partners, somebody who will hold you accountable to you achieving what you said you wanted to achieve. All right. So,
so
do you want to take?
let's take some questions. And at the back of it, because we've got a bit of time, I don't want you to rush it because we are learning so much. And I want to just share. Let's take some question quickly. So we've got a question from Olivier, which is much. We've got a few questions from Vanessa as well on HR. I'll start with Olivier as well. So from Olivier, most companies have nowadays an HR manager without really explaining each employee what are the main roles of a HR manager. Taking this role often for granted, can you please define what is it for you, the main role of a HR manager or a HR department? So what is really the role of a HR manager based on your experience?
Okay, so the role of a HR manager in an organization, what you will probably see is that HR sits in an office over here. They're on their own, mostly in the office. Then you've got the sales team, then you've got the operations team, then you've got the directors, and you know, you've got everybody else working in the organization. HR needs to move, right? Because this is how you're seeing it, is HR needs to move from the sidelines in the organization to the heart of the business. And they need to be empowering the directors, they need to be empowering the sales team, empowering the finance team, empowering, you know, the operations team, and really providing a work, you know, an experience at work that creates growth and development for people. For me, HR has always been about how can I help every individual in this organization be more, do more, and have more in their life. You know, I always remember being at Tesco. I remember this older gentleman who, you know, in their 60s, he was working a full-time job, filling, you know, heavy baked beans on the shelf and heavy drinks bottles on the shelf. He's got arthritis in his knees and he's working there full-time. You know, we missed out on opportunity to really help him realize that he didn't have to, life didn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
You know, so for HR, you know, at school you have your tutors, your teachers teaching you and guiding you. At college you have your professors, your tutors at uni. But when you get to work, and a lot of people don't go to university or college or whatever, you know, and suddenly we stop helping people, we stop guiding people.
Yeah.
You know, as leaders, as HR, you know, like that's our role, is like really making a difference to every single human being. And my mission, you know, we talked about values and missions earlier, is that every employee, wherever I've worked in an organization, you know, my mission is that they are valued and developed. And I work with HR professionals now because I want them to also take on this mission. Yeah. That wherever they work, their employees will be valued and developed.
Awesome. We've got another great question, this time from Vanessa. Firstly, thank you, Sue, for all this. Vanessa is a HR professional for more than 25 years. So,
oh, wow, amazing.
Yeah, so big round of applause for Vanessa there. Put your hands up for Vanessa, who's been doing brilliant work. So I'm just mentioning Vanessa, not the surname or where she's working. So firstly, thank you, Sue, for all this sharing. All are very true. As HR, despite being human, what is your advice if some staff don't show gratitude or don't even see the value of being part of a human organization, continuing adopting a gossiping attitude, instead seeing the advantages of being part of human organization? As a dedicated HR, it sometimes impact of our morale, as we are human too. Your advice, please, because you talk about, instead of human resources, you talk about human resources. So what's your advice to Vanessa on this one, Sue?
Yeah, so Vanessa, you know, like an amazing question, and I get this quite a lot from, you know, lots of leaders and business owners. All right, you know, I said it in my book, is no one comes to work to do a bad job. All right, if people are not performing, or you see that they're not performing, or that they're not, you know, working towards the standards or whatever, it's because they're disengaged. All right. And when I say they're disengaged, is because they don't see their contribution to the business. They don't value the, you know, they don't have that relationship with the company. They don't have the relationship with their boss. Like there's a real breakdown in relating with that individual. And it's so easy to blame those individuals, but have we done everything that we should be doing? Have we done their appraisals? Have we done their performance reviews? Do we talk to them? Do we listen to them? Do we listen to their ideas? Do we support them, or do we always finger point them when they're doing things wrong? Do we acknowledge them? Do we recognize them? We don't do enough of that. And I'm sure there's many employees here who will understand what I'm saying here. You know, it's so easy to point the finger at employees, right? And also as leaders, as HR, we have access to leadership skills on serving employees. We can see that, you know what, people are dealing with all kinds of problems out there in the world, all right? As leaders, we've got to find out, what are you dealing with? Why is your work not up to standard? What's going on in your life? And being more compassionate in the organization. People don't want to be bad people. Yeah, that's our insecurity. Yeah, nobody wants to be a bad person. Yeah, it's just how we're dealing with it. All right. So really look at, you know, is that employee really engaged in your business, in the values? And if they're not engaged in the business and you've done everything that you could possibly do, then you need to have a conversation and say, actually, I don't think our values are aligned. And then they need to go and find happiness somewhere else.
Okay, I'll take one more question before we move on to part 3. There's a question from Brindy. And Brindy goes on to say, what are some of the ways a company can celebrate success? So finally, we've got a positive question here. How do they celebrate and, you know, voice out success?
I really believe in public acknowledgement of our colleagues, of our employees, and really recognizing them in front of their teams, How else can you celebrate? You can celebrate through elevating your employees, right? Through promotion, salary increases, bonuses, everybody working as a team, like everybody going out together, doing lots of social events. There's loads of different ways of celebrating, but ultimately, you got to look at engaging with your team, right? Is what is the celebration to them, right? Is how do they want to be celebrated? You know, I've seen lots of organizations, right, who they celebrate Christmas, for example, and you know, they will buy everybody a bottle of wine or a champagne, you know, without thinking whether that gift is actually meaningful, you know. So for a Muslim employee, for example, a bottle of champagne is not going to be meaningful.
Exactly.
You know, because they don't drink. So it's really being thoughtful around how you're celebrating with people. You know, I know a company that I worked with previously, you know, their HR team introduced a reward system where they were providing employees with days out with their families. Yeah, but what they didn't do is ask the employees what they wanted as a reward scheme, because most of those workers were European and none of their families were in the UK. So obviously they're never going to use that reward, that benefit system. A benefit is only a benefit if people actually benefit from it. You know, it's not just about saying, oh, we've got all these great benefits, but if nobody's benefiting from it, it's not a benefit.
And Sue, just before you move on to part 3, you mentioned in your book that just having a coffee with your colleague or your staff goes a long way.
100%. You know, how many times do managers feel like, oh, I'm a manager and I don't socialize with my team, right? No, there is a fine line around that, okay? Because I do understand that if you get too familiar with people, it really becomes difficult to manage, you know, appraisals and all of, but it just all really works on who are you being for your people, you know? And I just kind of think, like, in a work environment, to just stop sometimes, you know. So in the old days, we used to do, well, lots of companies don't do it, but if you think about the appraisal process, happens once a year when you get to sit down with your boss, all right? With the new performance review process, which is a regular conversation with people, actually, why can't that be done over a cup of coffee? Why can't you just sit there and actually say, do you know what, how are you doing, what's going on with you, you know? And buying your team, like your team member who works so hard, you know, giving you their loyalty and their service to really help you as a manager look good, right? Building your success. You know, there's nothing wrong in taking some time out and building that relationship with people.
Okay, thank you. All yours, part 3, before we conclude with part 3. Thank you, Sue. Thank you very much.
So, thank you. So this next bit is around creating habits and routines, right? So here it is. How you do one thing is how you do everything. All right. And what I mean by that is, you know, if you say you're going to commit to something and then you don't do it, say you want to commit to your health, all right? You say, right, I'm going to do this, and then you don't do it. How many other areas are you doing that? Yeah. And the other thing around this is, you know, when we talk about integrity, we think about integrity as being our word with other people. Okay. So, you know, if I'm going to be in integrity, I'm going to do what I said, you know, to you, right? But how many times do we say things that we're going to do for ourselves and then we don't do it?
Exactly.
So how many times do we go out of integrity with ourselves, right? What happens when we go out of integrity with ourselves? Yeah, we start to listen to ourselves as somebody who doesn't do what they say they're going to do, is somebody who gives up, is somebody who doesn't focus, who is somebody who's not disciplined. And when we think that, what do you think? How do you think our behaviors are going to be with other people? What are they going to think, or what are they going to say? How will they relate to us? They will relate to us as somebody who's not in integrity, who isn't being our word. All right. Without our word, we're nothing. Yeah. So to really empower yourself and your self-confidence is, I want you to think about one thing, right, that you said you were going to do for yourself. And I really want you to commit to going and doing that and achieving that goal. I want you to write that down now. What's one thing that you've always wanted to do and you haven't done, and you're going to promise to go and fulfill on that, because that's just the one thing that's going to have you be empowered and achieve success.
Awesome.
Right? And then, you know, we are what we repeatedly do. Okay, so this quote is really awesome. I shared it the other day on my LinkedIn profile. You know, so excellence therefore is not an act, is a habit. You know, I said it earlier about excellence is a place to come from. Yeah, because actually the thing that you want to create in your life, it becomes you. You've become that. Yeah, so it's not even an act anymore, it's just how you are. Yeah, so people say to me, oh, how long are you going to be on this diet? All right, because I'm eating really healthy, right? I've practically gone vegan, and I'm really healthy with, really mindful of the calories. I stopped eating chapatis and rice and lots of carbs. I stopped eating all of those things. And my family's like, how long are you going to do this diet for? And I'm like, it's not a diet. That's just how I live my life. Like, that's what I eat now.
Yeah.
How long are you going to carry on doing all these steps? Well, that's just what I do every day. I don't sit in front of the television and watch hours and hours of bad news. That's just how my life is now. So by repeatedly doing something, it will become a habit and a way of life. All right. So how do you create great habits? It's repetition is the mother of all learning, the father of action, which makes it the architect of accomplishment. Wow. And I use the word architect there because there's lots of construction people in here, and I thought they could really relate to that. All right. But it's the repetition, and it's being consistent, and it's being disciplined, and it's really being focused, to really align yourself with a higher power, the divine powers. Like, you've really got to create routines and habits. Your life just doesn't work when it's all over the place. It doesn't work. Yeah, you find it. How many times have you picked up something from somewhere and then you put it back in a different place, and then when you want it again, you can't find it? It doesn't work. You get frustrated and you get angry to think, where is that thing, right? And it just creates chaos. So having systems and processes and like real habits that create discipline. How many of us are living in like a home of clutter where we can't find things? Organize yourselves, organize your life. Things do not work. When you've got clutter in your life, nobody wants that, right? And consider that having clutter in your life is being out of integrity, because nobody wants that. Yeah. So look at corners of your house, look at your paperwork, look at your car, is it in integrity with how you want it to be? Is it the standard that you say it should be? Is it, So really look at all of these areas in your life.
And Sue, this is so powerful. If you can go back to that quote, I mean, this is really, really good. I think everybody needs to make a note, take a screenshot. I love this quote. I think this is what I think is really powerful, and I'm sure a lot of us will remember this. Thank you for this, Sue.
You're welcome. Right. Very quickly, I'm going to go through this model with you that I learned from a personal development program that I did with Landmark Worldwide. So often, here's what we do, right? We want to have things in our life, all right? Like, we want to have, a good review, we want to have a promotion, we want to have status, bonuses, pay rise, car, the house, or we want to have all these things, right? And because we're operating from what we want to have, we just focus on, we want to have that, so I need to do the things that I need to do to have that, right? And often the kind of things that we end up doing is we start getting into, long hours at work, putting pressure and demand on ourselves and other people. We don't invest in ourselves. We don't look after our health. We just keep looking for more information so that we can work harder to have the thing that we want to have, all right? So that one day we can be happy, satisfied, peaceful, grateful, loving, fulfilled. Yeah. And often what we find is when we're just focused on what we want to have, like, it just feels hard, tiring, exhausting, lonely a lot of the time, like it's a resistance in our life, right? But actually imagine, right, if you came from the place of being happy, satisfied, peaceful, grateful, loving, and fulfilled. If you were being that now, what kind of things would you be doing in line with that?
Yeah.
You'll be looking after yourself. You'll be focusing on your health and well-being. You'll be listening to people and supporting others. You'll be believing in yourself and your ability, and you'll be taking action on things that you want to take action on. Yeah. And eventually what you'll find is you're going to have what it is that you want in your life.
Yeah. This is awesome.
So focus on being, you know, who are you being in every situation? Who are you being? Yeah, you can be a victim or you could be a leader and own your life. Wow. All right. And then here we go. How to win the day. All right. This is a great tool that I picked up from a guy called Hal Elrod. You can look him up on the internet. Really setting yourself some great routines. Like, as I said to you, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I do my exercises. I have my shower. So I do my exercise. I go for a long walk to do about 5,000 steps in the morning. Then I have my shower. I do my prayers. I do my meditation. I do my visualizations. Then I do some regular reading every single day. I spend quality time with my daughter. I switch my phone off, everything, so that I can be with her. And then I do the things that then an evening routine I have as well, where I do my exercises, have my protein shake, you know, get ready for bed, spend some time with my daughter. We do some prayers. We do a gratefulness journal, and then you go to bed peacefully. All right. Wow. But it's being, you know, really routine in your life is what's going to have your life work. All right. And as I said earlier, all the successful people in the world have routines, right? And that's what makes their life work. If you're scatty and you're all over the place all of the time, and you keep missing things and you keep losing things, and you know, you don't know where stuff is, and you don't know where the time's going, and you know, you're constantly rushed, you don't have routine. Yeah. All right. So if you win the morning, you win the day. All right. And here's just some, you know, here's an acronym of SAVERS. So daily routine of, you know, being silent, being in meditation and prayer, breathing, doing affirmations. I am love. I am leadership. I am empowerment. Visualization, looking at your vision board, feeling what it would be like to have this future. Yeah, not spending your time worrying about what might not happen, but actually visualizing the future that you want to create. All right. Exercising every day, working your body, keeping your oxygen and your blood flowing to the brain. Reading. All right. You know, feeding your mind. That's personal development, feeding your mind. And then scribing, writing and journaling. You know, write down every single day 5 things that you're really grateful for. You know, because there's always something to be grateful for. There's, you know, gratitude for the sun shining. If you're in Mauritius, oh my God, like being in Mauritius is like something to be grateful for. You know, whatever country you're in, you know, I feel grateful that I can hear the sound of the birds singing. I feel grateful that I can see the smile on my daughter's face. I feel grateful that I can hear her singing in the shower. You know, like I feel grateful for the energy and my health. So really look at, when you're thinking about what you're grateful for, you've got no time and energy to think about what you don't have in your life. Absolutely. You know, so really spending time on creating these great habits. Lots of our old habits have been formed over years. So unless you replace those bad habits with good habits, those habits will never change. All right. So it's repetition, right? What we spoke about earlier. And it's just being disciplined, focused, and consistent, because that's what you want in your life. All right. So, you know, a question for you really is, you know, to think about is, who do you need to become to achieve your goals? Yeah. And what do you need to do to achieve your goals? These are 2 questions that I want you to think about for yourself. Yeah. Okay. And that's me done. Wow. Big round of applause, everybody. Please put your hands up for Sue for this really amazing presentation. If you can put your hands up, everybody, for this amazing presentation. 2 hours of presentation already. We've got 10 minutes left to go. So I want to give you a few things before we go. 10 minutes of your time, everybody. But before we do that, we want to share some questions with you.
So I'm going to go back to Menti quickly, and be good to know what you want to leave behind. So I'm going to share that with you now. And again, if you can go to menti.com, and Davison, if you can write that down on the, so menti.com, menti.com, and use the code 329365. What is the legacy that you want to leave behind now that we've listened to Sue? So please, please, please put your question in. Go to menti.com, 329365. What is the legacy you want to leave behind? Whether you want to be a good dad, whether you want to be a good manager, whether you're going to be a good mom, whether you're going to be a good daughter, whether you want to be a good professional. So what is the legacy that you want to leave behind? If you can just log into menti.com and just type that in.
And Neil, I need to take a 1-minute break. I'll be back.
Yeah, so Maestro, inspire others. Already we've got a few of them. A great dad, contender, equity, being a good human. Fantastic. Please, please, please put your question in, take your time. So going back to menti.com and use that 329365. Already, as you can see, a lot of you want to impact on the new generation. I want to be a role model. A lot of property. Wow, okay, that's a good one. Good human being. There's something about ambassador for Christ. Wow, fantastic. Self-satisfaction, be a good shepherd. I want to be loved, philanthropist, and motivation. So already 23 of you have already. Please take your time, menti.com, and we want to see how much of you has actually put that in. So already business, a motivator, to be an influencer, equity, money, live a fruitful life, leadership, being a philanthropist, a successful businessman, inspire my children, very, very important as well, great husband. So already we can see that. So thank you very much indeed. I'm now gonna share the next one, and before we move on to the next. So just bear with me as I move on to the next one for you. And then we will conclude in 5 minutes. I'm going to show you something else quickly. So let me show you quickly the part 3, and then again back to Menti. We need to change the code, this one, and I'm going to share this with you now. And if you can see my slide again, Davison, if you can write that for me, mate. Go back to menti.com and use the code 364394. What are you grateful for right now? So I'm going to join in as well and type in menti.com and type in the code 364395, 364394. So 364394, and you've got 2 choices there. What are you grateful for right now? I'm just going to say being with you, and for having Sue. Okay, so I'm going to submit that now. And having wonderful parent. Wow, having a passionate job.
I love these.
Wow, all life. For having Sue, I've just mentioned that. Having passionate, the air I breathe, understanding run. I'm not too sure about that. My parents, being with you, family, being alive, those who believe in me, overcoming COVID. Wow, fantastic. Finding your CPD talk. Okay. Realizing the present, being good, love, RICS certification, having a good job. So already, we all need to be grateful. My 2 courses being with you and being with Sue. So already I'm going to share a screenshot with all of you after the talk is over. So Sue, what's your comments on that so far?
Oh, I love it. Like, this is what life is about, is really sharing your gratitude, and, really, really important that we really look at that, and also really think about Where is your energy? You know, when you're thinking, you're living in anxiety and fear, like what kind of energy are you putting in the universe? You know, really, like nobody wants to be around that, right? So really think about your impact, your energy and your thoughts. Like what are they having? What are you going to attract in your world when you're being in that negative, low energy? And really think about, you know, what is it that you want to create for yourself? How can you really link your emotions to what you want to attract into your life? And this is so beautiful, you know, really looking at what everybody's shared here is just stunning.
Wow. Okay, so I've got, we're gonna terminate in 7 minutes because
Neil, can I just share something quickly with
please,
everybody?
please. We've got 10 minutes to go, so I've got plenty of time, 10 minutes more to make it a very nice 2 hours plus CPD. Please share with us whatever you've got, Sue, and then I've got
I just want to share. Here it is. 1 second, I'm just going to find this picture that I want to share with everyone.
Yeah, fantastic, Sue. Thank you very much for that. I think it's one of the best webinars we've had, and this is my 25th webinar, and you know, it's an honor and pleasure to have you today. It's fantastic. Wow, what a slide. So let's have a look at that.
Look at this slide here. This is called the Hertz scale of emotions, all right? And if you imagine, like, say, for example, you know, ultimate consciousness is, you know, you can earn these points over here, right? 700 to 1,000. If you were to go on a day-to-day basis, yeah, and you were to think about all the emotions that you felt throughout the day, is how much points would you score by the end of the day, all right? How many thoughts do you have that are of feeling of shame, of guilt, of apathy, of grief? And you can see here, fear, you know, this is all below 100 points, yeah? And it's where suffering is, you know, it's very aligned to the chakras, yeah? And you're living a very contracted, small life when you're living in those emotions. And then you kind of move into the 100 to 200, right? Is desire, anger, pride, courage. Is like where you're just kind of getting by in life, you know? But the real flow in life comes through, you know, living in neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, right? That's flow. But the pure consciousness, right, comes through working towards, you know, love, joy, peace, and enlightenment rather, all right? That's where ultimate consciousness is. And enlightenment is really about, you know, how connected you are to your divine self, how connected you are to, you know, to prayer, to meditation. You know, how many of you meditate? How many of you pray? How many of you really connected to who you really are? That's where, you know, enlightenment takes place. And the more you're circulating at that higher level is what is the energy that you're putting out there into the universe, yeah? And every moment, and in any moment, like even right now, we're creating our future with this energy that we're in right now.
Wow, awesome. Thank you very much, Sue. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Can we have a big round of applause for this slide, everybody? A quick hands up. I've got 5 minutes before we conclude. So I want to share this with you, Sue, and with everybody before we close this amazing webinar on a Tuesday as well. So we've got our week ahead full of inspiration, full of love, leadership, and empowerment. So let me share this with you, everybody, before we go to the webinar. So already we've got 100 plus of you still listening to us. Thank you, everybody, for being here. So this is the book. Yeah, I'm going to send the link later on the email, which I've been sending to you about reminding about the CPD, human resources versus human processes. HR professional can be either very process and policy driven, or too soft and spend too much time listening to employees' problem, often resulting in not being valued by business or staff. So if you're a HR professional, this book is about your personal development. It's about how you can bring all the areas of HR together to feel more fulfilled in your role and bring people along with you. And finally, there's something that touched me really deeply while reading Sue's book. And this is where she talked to her manager, and the manager response was here. Her emphatic response was, how is caring for somebody else a holiday for you? She refused me the annual leave, instead telling me to take as much time as I needed and paying me my usual wage for the whole time I spent caring for my daughter. That was Sue's manager. You imagine how grateful, committed, and loyal I felt in response to her trust and compassion. And I hope this story inspires you to encourage the same environment in your company. Sue, what's your thought on this? When I read that, I was really touched about your manager saying, don't take day off, I will pay you, look after your daughter, and come back again.
Yeah, you know, that really showed a level of, you know, the trust and the respect that we had for each other, you know, and you know, it wasn't just about her giving to me, but actually for me, it's around, God, she really respects me for who I am. And she was listening to me as a leader. And do you see the difference that makes is when you as a manager really listen to your team as leaders and you see them as leaders, you know, you treat them like leaders rather than little people or just workers. You know, I hate it when we do that. We look at our teams like they're just workers. They're not just workers. They're human beings. They're leaders, you know. And my manager really saw me as a leader in her team, somebody that she really valued, you know, a human being, and she put herself in my shoes that, you know, actually if she had to take care of her son, you know, it's not a holiday, it's just actually time to take care of your family, right? But you know, but she earned even more commitment from me, even more loyalty from me, and I worked even harder. Like, you know, that's who I was for her. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much indeed.
Can I just say, Anil, thank you so much for reading my book and really, you know, picking out all of these quotes from it. I really just want to acknowledge your commitment to me and your respect for me and your love and kindness for me as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I read your book to the letter. I've highlighted everything. I've highlighted the whole book. I can't believe it. I've actually highlighted an entire book. I don't know where to start with the highlighted to where it finished. So let me just now finish off with the webinar. I want to share something with all of you. So the next up is, I don't know if you know this little guy, Sue. This guy is Akshat Singh. He's not my brother. Akshat's motto is to be happy and make others happy. So I'm now going to share a video with all of you for the next 5 minutes. Please do not miss it because it's going to be the best video. Have you seen this video before, Sue?
Yeah, I think I have. I'm a very big fan of these talent shows. Britain's Got Talent.
So let me share that with everybody now. Let me make sure that we've got the sound ready, and I'm going to share that with you now. So here we go. And let me just go full screen. Can you see the screen okay, Sue?
Yep.
Right, off we go.
Hello, darling. What's your name?
Akshat Singh.
Akshat Singh.
Yeah.
And how old are you?
13.
13. Lovely. And where are you from?
India, Mumbai.
Oh, fantastic. So who are you here with?
With my mom and dad.
Mum and dad.
Yeah.
What's the big dream for you? Why Britain's Got Talent?
Because now I have two mottos in my life. To make everyone happy and show everyone that nothing is impossible in our life.
Hey! He's like a little guru, this kid.
I love it.
Okay, then. The stage is yours.
Thank you.
Come on, Akshat. Yes.
तेरी भक्ति का वरदान है जो कमाए वो धनवान है पाप की आंधियां राख कभी ज्योति न हारी तेरी अपनी तकदीर का वो
Never underestimate 3 things in your life. Kids, and only kids.
Everybody let me hear you say right. But spend all your money cause today payday. I ask you a tree. My name is a nigga, you can call me Drake. Get on the floor, like it's your last chance. You want more, then here I am.
Fat people can dance.
Wow. Fat people can dance.
Amazing. Amazing. How amazing.
I was not expecting that. There's a lot of kids who are going to watch you. Absolutely love what you do because you're fun. You've got great personality. This is your moment.
He did what he said he was going to do. Yes. He's made us happy.
I wish I was 13 and watching you up there on the stage. You would have made me feel like I could achieve absolutely anything. Well done.
You drew some amazing shapes and then you did the box splits. It's absolutely incredible.
Let's vote.
Yes, guys.
Okay, David, yes or no?
Well. Good. In fact, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna do it. Come here. Well done. Brilliant. Well done. Congratulations. You're into live sauce. Yeah? Oh, so good. Well done. Brilliant.
That was fantastic. Take a bow.
I love him.
And I wasn't expecting that.
Can we keep him?
Yeah, we pressed the golden buzzer. He's ours, yeah?
That means we keep him.
He's ours. Yes, good lad.
Akshat, just tell me, what was your motto?
To be happy and to make others happy.
Well, that's what he's done.
You're a remarkable young man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. So just going back to finally back to our presentation. So thank you, everybody. I think if you can put a big round of applause for that little kid there. He's a global sensation.
He was amazing. He was so amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
That's just reflecting what Sue webinar is all about today. So take care, be safe. And finally, I want to share a last survey with you all. We've got 100 plus still here with us. Would you work on being more confident after this presentation? So I'm going to share this with you, which is my last survey. And I'm going to make sure Sue can vote too as well. So here we go. Please put your vote in. Would you work on being more confident after Sue's presentation today? We all came down. We were all about uncertain about COVID. We were saying if that, the other. But Sue has given us 100 reasons to why we need to be grateful to what we've got, life, family, jobs, and everything else. So would you please put your vote in? Would you work on being more confident after this presentation? I would love to have all your vote today. Please, and then we'll take a few questions before we conclude. So would you work on being more confident after this presentation and what you've seen today as well? So fantastic. Already 70% of you have voted, and I'm just going to end polling now for Sue. Thank you very much indeed. 70%, please put your vote in, and I'm just going to end polling now. So I'm going to share the result with Sue. 100 have said yes. They want to be more confident and want to work on their confidence based on Sue's presentation. Fantastic. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Sue. This is awesome. What's your final word of thought on this poll to share with you today, Sue?
I just want to finish off by saying Be that guy, be Akshat, be happy and make others happy.
Wow.
That's it. Right?
So,
just make your life
thank you.
be about that.
We'll come back to you just one sec, Sue, before we finish. Already you can see 100%. So I'm going to stop share on this one. Already 75% of you voted. Thank you very much indeed. Before we conclude, so I'm just going to stop sharing quickly before we move on to Sue final. So Sue, final word from yourself. It's been a 2 hour and 30 minutes of CPD talk today. There's lots of young people, lots of professionals, lots of practitioners. Your final advice, we had the pleasure and honor to host you from Mauritius today. And we're all watching you. You've already seen the result has been 100%. So, and you know, we've loved all your wisdom on your books as well. What's your final word advice to all of us and really surmounting COVID-19 as we get to build ourselves and really fight back the recession?
So I'm just going to leave you with 3 actions that I really want you to focus on, all right? Number 1 is own your life, be responsible for every area of your life. I shared the wheel of life with you earlier. Go and work on that for yourself. You can get lots of different versions of it on the internet. So print one off and use it to identify where you are now and where you want to be. So that's number 1, right? Own your life. Number 2 is about you really creating for yourself a clear vision of what you want in your life. Make it vivid, make it exciting, make it inspiring. Create that vision for yourself and your family, all right? And number 3 is to create good habits and routines in your life so that you can deliver your vision, all right? And empower yourself. I would really love for you to write down those 3 things that you're going to do and work on them.
Okay, and finally, see, there's lots of HR watching you as well. What's your advice or wisdom, having been HR for more than 20 years, with one of the biggest, you know, supermarket, Tesco, being a global brand? What's your word of wisdom? Obviously, it will be on your book. But what's your word of wisdom, and why do we need to read your book, where you've got so much in it as well to HR?
So in HR, don't worry about policies, the law, compliance. I mean, yes, that's all there, but ultimately, just be someone who cares about people.
Yeah.
Right? Just be that. You know, it doesn't matter, like, whatever job title you have, however much money you make, whatever your status is, all that doesn't really matter. What people won't remember you for what you did and what you had. They will remember you for how you made them feel. All right? So create a great feeling, like when you're leaving your legacy behind, every time you leave someone, is what is the feeling that they're leaving with? All right? So just be about people.
And finally, anybody who want to join HR or want to become a good HR, what's your advice to them? Why HR for me? I've read the book, I love it. So why HR for me?
Why HR? Well, you know, it's got to be your calling. Like, it's got, you know, HR isn't for everybody, but if it's a thing that, you know, it's really calling to you, that, you know, you want to work with people and you want to create a great experience for employees. I wanted to create a great experience for employees. You know, I wanted the staff who were celebrating Ramadan, I want them to have food for them when they break their fast. Like, I wanted to be someone who really takes care of people in the workplace. So I wanted to be that. So for me, it was my calling. So if it's your calling, then choose it powerfully.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much indeed. Before I finish, please email us with your feedback and also requesting a certificate attendance. I will then share Shu's, you know, the YouTube, as well as also I will share the book with you. It's not expensive. It's only £3, which is 150 rupees or a few dollars. And it's really, really motivating book as well. So please give us your feedback on email about the webinar today. Please also share your your courses for reception attendance, and also Sue. So can you please put your hands up for Sue, everybody? Already 99 of you, 97 of you are listening to us right now. So a big round of applause for Sue.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to share, Anil, as well, that I'd love to connect with anybody. So if you're all on LinkedIn, please follow or connect. You know, I'll be happy to connect with people. And again, I put lots of my content out there on LinkedIn, adding lots of value every day. So please feel free to follow or connect with me on LinkedIn as well.
And Sue, just to let you know as well, we've got colleagues who want you to be in Mauritius as well. So they want you to.
Amazing! I would love to be there after the pandemic.
Yeah, a great way to see you one day after the pandemic in Mauritius for a great workshop, to see you physically, to get your vibe, your energy, all your
100%.
passion and commitment to human beings as well. So thank you very much indeed, everybody. It's been an awesome webinar. I'm grateful to you, Sue, to give back. I contacted you on LinkedIn without a second thought. You just said, yes, Neil, I want to give back. So thank you very much indeed. I would also like to thank all the participants who've been with us for a long time. And Sue, just to share, this is my 25th webinar, and I'm ever so grateful for everybody who's been here. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, and well done to you. Thank you, Davison, for being a great room captain on the webinar today as well, and for everybody participating. So I really just want to acknowledge you all for being part of it, and for 97 of you for still being with us. So thank you so much for being in this energy.
So Davison, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Davison. As always, Davison has been here. So a big wave to Sue. So final wave before I terminate. A big wave for everybody. Thank you very much indeed. Have a great evening. You can now eat your dinner. Thank you very much indeed. And Sue, thank you for being in the UK to give us your wisdom as well. Thank you, everybody. Take care. And goodbye. See you next. Thank you.